So what is better to stack in 2021? Is it gold or is it silver? That's the question we are asking and attempting to answer in today's video. So what I did is I scoured the internet for all sorts of data. I got median income going all the way back to 1969, the average home price, as well as a bunch of consumer goods that were used back then, as well as are still being used today. And we took all that data together and we did just like we did in a video a couple of weeks ago when we did with silver against inflation. And if you haven't seen that, there will be a link down below. But we put all this data together and we actually looked at what was better to stack going back to 1969 to help us determine what will be better to stack today going forward. Is it going to be gold or silver? So at the end of this video, after going over all the data with you guys, I'm going to tell you my thoughts because it's not as simple as, oh, well, do this or well, do that. But do me a favor, before we get into the video, go down below and make sure you're subscribed, as half the people that watch this channel are not, and I would really appreciate it if you did. Additionally, don't forget to click the bell for future video notifications. And with that said, let's get started. Okay, so just like in the video a couple of weeks ago where I did silver, we got all sorts of data off the internet. My data sources are listed down here below. Feel free to check them out if you would like. But taking a look at the data, basically we went back to 1969 and then 4-year increments all the way up through 2020, starting in 72, except for we threw 2019 in there as well. What we have, what we're looking at basically is the average gold price going back then. We have the average home price. We have the median income. This is actually changed from the silver video. In the silver video, I did average income. This is median income, which is a better representation. We have the home prices in ounces troy. Now, this might be confusing, but basically, this is how many ounces of gold you would have needed to purchase a home back in 1969, based on the average gold price versus the average home price. Your income in ounces troy. Now, I know we can't all do this, but this is basically how many ounces of gold you could have gotten in income if you were a median earner all the way back in 69. So in other words, your median income of 7,683 converted are divided by 4110 would be 186.93 ounces of gold. Now, this one right here, this is the current value of the gold in 2020. So basically, if you would have taken all of your income in gold, if you were a median earner, and just kept it today, well, in 2020 would be worth $331,571. And then this right here is the current year income versus current year home price. So basically, your $7,683 equaled 28.351% of a home in 1969. Now, these two numbers right here, these are pretty important. These are the ones that we are really looking at when you look at inflation. So basically, had you taken all of your income in gold in 1969 and put it aside, today, in 2020, not in 2021, but this is as far back as I could go. In 2020, you would have been able to then sell the gold and purchase more than a full house. So basically, the value of the gold, if you would have taken all of your income in gold in 1969, would be worth more than the average home price in 2020. In other words, it would have been 116% of the home price. Whereas if you would have just kept it in cash, so let's say you just took your 7,000, whatever it was, and put it under your mattress, it would only be worth 2.69% of a home in today's market. And then we have this chart over here. This is just kind of looking at that data. This is gold versus cash history and the home price in 2020. So basically, this is those two numbers. And as you can see, if you would have kept it in cash, which is the gold line, that's what percentage of a home you could have bought in 1969 versus had you put it in gold, 72, 76, 1980. Now, if you remember in the silver video, 1980, it would have actually been better to have kept it in cash than to have put it in silver. That is not the case with gold. You would have still been better off in gold in 1980. 84, 88, it continues to climb on through, as you can see, and then starts to go back down. In 2012, it was pretty even. That's about as close as it gets. And even in 2019, you would have been better off going in gold than putting your money in cash. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is gold and consumer goods. Now, this is all the same data as far as the raw data is concerned. I just took the income and I made it a smaller number by dividing it by 12. Basically, I'm looking at monthly income instead of yearly. If you multiply it by 12, it's all the same number. You get the idea. We're not going to deep dive into the data, though. I just wanted it to be a smaller number since we're dealing with smaller value items, such as gasoline, bread, potatoes, and eggs. Bread being 1 pound of bread, potatoes, 10 pounds of potatoes, a dozen of eggs, a gallon of gasoline. Down here, this is basically the raw data that we use to put the charts together. So let's just look at the charts because, that's just a lot of numbers. The charts are what's important. So looking at this chart, this is gold versus cash history on gas in 2020. Let me explain to you what the two bars represent. So the blue bar represents how many gallons of gasoline you could have purchased had you taken a month's income all the way back in 1969 and put it in gold and then sold it in 2020 and bought gasoline. So as you can see, had you done that, you would have over 12,000 gallons of gasoline that you could have purchased with the gold that you bought in 1969 with your month's income. Whereas the bar right here, the orange bar, represents how many gallons of gasoline you could have purchased had you just kept it in cash under a mattress, and that number is 283 gallons. So 283 gallons versus 12,226 gallons of gasoline. 1972, 76, you can see every single year the blue bar is higher, even in 2012, although it's very close. It's 1,999 versus 1,881 gallons of gasoline in 2012. So in 2012, it's really close, but even then, the gold bar is higher. So every single year that we charted, it would have been better to have put your money into gold as opposed to just putting it in, into cash under your mattress or in a safe or in a bank account that's not drawing any interest, etc. If we look at it with bread, same thing. Blue line represents how many pounds of bread you could have gotten versus the orange line representing how many pounds of bread you could have gotten had you just kept it in cash under a mattress. And the same thing. It's, even in 2012, it's really close, but it's still better to have been in gold. If we go down, we can look at eggs. So this is how many dozen eggs you could have bought. And every year, it's still better to have been in gold. And then scrolling over, same thing for potatoes. Every year, it's better to have been in gold. So one other chart I put together that I didn't share in the silver video, and I will share in this one. And it's not that I didn't share it, I just didn't do the chart, I didn't think about it. But this is a week's income in gold history versus the 2020 value. So basically, had you taken a month's income in, all the way back in 1969 here, and then put it in gold and then sold it today, the gold would be worth $27,630, whereas a month's income back then was $640.25. And as you can see, every year the gold value is higher than the cash value, again, even in 2012. All the numbers correlate. Again, it's just more evidence that gold and silver are a hedge against inflation. Again, at least you shouldn't be putting your money into gold and silver to try and become a millionaire with, $10,000, because that's not really how it works. And I'm going to explain a little bit more of that at the end of the video. So if you want to hear some of my thoughts on that one, go ahead and follow. Now, one thing you guys might be saying here is, well, look how much closer the bars are getting in 2012, 2016. Is it still a good time to invest? Is it over? Is gold and silver no longer a hedge against inflation? You can see the numbers are getting tighter. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at something. I put this chart together over here. This is a week's income in gold history versus the 2004 value. So going only back to 2004. Look at 92 and 96. 2000, obviously a big difference. But look at 92, 96, 88. Look how much or how closely those numbers are. In fact, in 88, it would have been better to be in cash versus 2004 than it would have been to be in gold. But look at 96. Look how close the numbers are. Now look at 96 today. You see what I'm saying? Like you can't look at hedging against inflation in a short basis. This is something when you're stacking your gold, when you're stacking your silver, you're putting it back for the long term. You're not putting it back for next week. You're putting it back for next decade. You want your gold, you want your silver, you want the cash that you have, the wealth that you have, to be able to purchase the same amount of goods and services in 20 or 30 years that it can today. And if you keep it in cash, that's not going to be the case. A $100 bill is going to buy you less gas in 20 years than it will today. But if you take that $100 bill and you put it into gold or silver, based on what you're seeing in these charts, historically it shows that gold and silver will still be able to buy you at least as much, if not more, gasoline in 20 years than it could have today. All right, so the question in this video, and you're probably like, Seeker, none of this is which is better, gold or silver. We're getting to it, and this is what the combo chart is. And keep in mind, as I show you this one, I'm a silver stacker, so I do stack gold as well, but I primarily am in silver. There's a couple of reasons for that. But this chart right here, this is going to be eye-opening for a lot of you, especially if you are much heavier on silver than you are on gold. This chart right here represents how, if you would have taken your income, all of your income in 1 year, back in 1969, 72, 76, 80, and you would have put it into gold and you would put it into silver, which one would be worth more? Well, the gold line represents gold, the blue line represents silver. So had you taken all of your money in 1969, all of your income in 1 year in 1969, and put it into silver, this is what the silver would be worth. This is what the gold would be worth, the gold line, or the gold bar. So the blue bar is silver, gold line is gold. So as you can see, outside of 1992, every single year, it definitely would have been better to be in gold than to be in silver. So we should ask ourselves, after looking at that data, especially at 1969, I mean, holy smokes, if you look at the raw numbers here, look at 1969, the amount of your silver would have been worth your silver would have been worth $88,439. Your gold would have been worth $331,000. So is it better to stack gold than silver? Well, the reason a lot of people stack silver is because they believe it's undervalued, and they look at the fact that silver is continuing to be used more heavily in industry, especially with all these green energy initiatives that are being pushed through the government, that silver will be consumed at a much greater rate than gold's going to be in the future. So that is one thing to look at it. Basically, they look at silver as having a much higher upside potential from here on out than gold. Another reason is that gold is just less affordable. I mean, not everyone has gold's trading right now at $1,795 as I say this. Not everyone has $1,795 to put into gold. And although the premiums on silver, especially physical silver, are pretty high right now, the premiums on fractional gold are really high. If you look at the price of like a 1 gram gold bar or even a 1/10 ounce gold eagle, the premiums on those items are very, very high. We're talking 20+%, if not more, depending on the item. So, you know, if you and even at that point, not everyone, even if you bought a 1/10 ounce gold eagle at today's market and paid the 22 or 23% or whatever the premium is, that's still going to be over $200, and not everyone has that kind of money to invest. So silver is a perfect alternative for that. Because you can buy silver at $24 an ounce plus the premium. And a lot of people like to go into smaller value things. They can go fractional, like dimes, quarters, half dollars, etc. So it's not super easy to just say, hey, it's better to go into gold than it is the silver, because not everyone has the ability to just stack gold and not silver. Personally, me, I believe in a good mix. I stack both silver and gold. I'm heavier in silver than gold for the first reason we talked about, because I do think silver has more upside potential in the future, mainly because of the amount of silver that is continuing to be consumed in industry going forward. I think with green energy initiatives and the amount of renewable energy sources that we're looking into, a lot of those consume a lot of silver. And that is really good for the people holding silver, because it will continue to become more expensive to mine it as time goes on, which will make the value of your silver continue to climb. Of course, this is all just my opinion, though. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these charts are wrong. I don't know. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. So do me a favor, go down below and leave a comment on this video. Let me know what you think about what you looked at today, the data that I put together, and what do you prefer to stack? Do you prefer to stack gold or silver? In my opinion, you should at least be putting one of them aside, maybe both. I do both. But, you know, gold or silver, which one is it? Let me know down below. Or is it both? Or what's your mixture? I would love to hear from you. So thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next video. I hope you learned a little bit in this one as well. And we'll see you next time. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I did leave a video above you can check out if you haven't seen it yet. I also want to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to my awesome channel supporters scrolling right there on the right hand of the screen. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.